Hey guys and gals, Karma here. I just wanted to share my build with you. As you know from my previous videos, I'm running a Bone Spear build on the Necro. I'm 84 and building up Paragon at this time. Let's start in on the skill tree. Okay, go to abilities. Okay. Firstly, on the basic skill tree, we have 1 point in Bone Splinters, followed by 1 point in Enhanced Bone Splinters, and 1 point in Alkalite Bone Splinters. You will primarily be using these to gain essence back. On the next tree, we'll have 5 in Bone Spear. Of course, you can see that my items contribute 4, so I'm getting basically 9 on my Bone Spear. But you want 5 in Bone Spear, 1 in Enhanced Bone Spear, and 1 in Paranormal Bone Spear. You also want 3 in Unliving Energy, you want 3 in Perfect Balance, and 3 in Hued Flesh. On the next tree, it's a Corpse and Macabre skill tree. You'll want 1 in Blood Mist, 1 in Corpse Explosion, you'll want 3 in Grim Harvest, and 3 in Fueled by Death. Of course, you can see that, item contribution, I got 3 more in that one as well, which is a big deal. So if you get an amulet that has Fueled by Death, that's a good idea to use it. On your next tree, which would be your curse skills, you're going to have Death Embrace, which it reduces the damage that you are being dealt, but it increases damage you deal for up close enemies. And then Death's Reach, basically you deal 12% increased distance or damage to distant enemies, which that helps out quite a bit if you are right at the edge of a screen throwing or chucking spears. On the next tree is another Corpse and Macabre skill. You're going to want 1 in Corpse Tendrils. Of course, you can see I have 4 in item contributions. We'll bring it up to 5 total, but then you'll want 1 in Enhanced Corpse Tendrils and 1 in Place Corpse Tendrils. So basically meaning that whenever you use it, it basically makes your targets vulnerable for 3 seconds. That's a very good deal because whenever you throw spears and you do crits, and you have vulnerable enemies, it does a whole lot more damage. You're going to want 3 in Serration, 3 in Compound Fractures, and 3 in Invulsion. On your ultimate skill tree, you're going to want 1 in Bone Storm, 1 in Prime Bone Storm, 1 in Supreme Bone Storm. Then you're going to want to come over here and go to 3 in Inspiring Leader. And then you're going to go to Stand Alone. You're going to want 3 in that. And 3 in your Memento Mori. Then you're going to come down here to your key passives. You're going to want Ossified Essence. Basically what that means is your bone skills do 1 times percent increased damage for each point of essence you have above 50 upon cast. So meaning that if we look at gear, we have if you can find an increase to your essence, you can do that. I don't have any of those, but I have essence reduction, so it would cost less to cast. But if you were to have more essence, essentially, the more damage you deal. So, like min-maxing your gear, you can always do all that other stuff. The main key for this build you're going to want this Deathless Visage. That is the one thing that you'll want. Of course, I'm still looking to try to get the Ancestral, but I've got the Sacred instead. It's kind of been hard to get a hold of, but when I do get a hold of it, it'll be great. The next thing you're going to want to look at is the aspects. I have on this one, this is a perfect aspect. It's you gain 0.5 half a percent, but you get up to 50% more armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage. And then you're gonna want skill. This one's also a perfect aspect. Skills deal up to 20% increased damage based on your available primary resource when you cast. So meaning that, once again, the more essence you have, the more damage you're gonna deal. And you deal the most at the very first throw when you have full essence. The next, you're going to want the damaging an elite enemy, grants you a barrier absorbing up to the, well, for mine's not perfect, but the range is almost close. It's for 10 seconds and the effects can only happen once every 30 seconds. The next one, critical strike, grants 15% movement speed for 1 second, up to 6 seconds. That's not too bad. That basically means that you get a crit, you can increase your movement speed pretty good. And movement speed's all about staying out of the goop that people are throwing on the floor and out of the way of enemies. The bread and butter for this build, and this is not a perfect aspect, is the Bone Spear's primary attack makes enemies hit beyond the first vulnerable for 4.2 seconds. Range is 3 to 5. Bone shards for the Bone Spear deal, for me it's 185, but it goes between 125 and 225 bonus damage to vulnerable enemies and pierce them. Now, you gotta think about this. When you put the aspect on your weapon, it increases it by 100%. So, that's not exactly how the aspect's going to read out at the beginning. It's going to go up to 100. I've had one that was up to 215 because it was at 95. So at 100 it'd be 225. So the next one you're going to want is on your necklace piece. Is gain 30% increase critical strike chance for 6 seconds when you cast corpse tendrils. You do 90%. Like for me, that's because it's put on a neck piece, it increases it by 50%. So, it'd be 45 and 90, but that's also adding 50% of what it was. Bonus critical strike damage to enemies damaged by corpse tendrils. So you're going to also not only make them vulnerable with corpse tendrils, you're going to increase your damage by 90%. That's pretty huge. And then you're going to get on your rings, which I like to look at my rings and I try to get critical strike chance. Granted, my critical strike chance is kind of low. I wouldn't worry too much about that because you're going to get a lot of crits. But I'm also looking for critical strike with bone skills or critical strike in general. The other one you need to look for is also damage to distant enemies. That helps out quite a bit. But the aspect is the Osphite Essence Key. Passive also increases the critical strike chance you deal with bone skills by 1+% per essence above 50 up to 40%. That's a perfect aspect, but if you get between 30 and 40 is good. The next one is I like to run. There's 2 different ones you can run. One of them is, let me see if I got a copy of this. That's another lucky hit one. Okay, well anyway, there is a, might have it in, hold on, let's go to the chest real quick. I might actually have it still on a weapon, I may have not pulled it off. Not sure that I want it. Another option you have is, oh, well, maybe not. Okay, yes, it's right here. If you look at this aspect, it's restores 3, the range is 1 to 4 of your primary resources when you crowd control an enemy. Well, when you use corpse tendrils, you're technically crowd controlling it, which will actually give you more resources based off of the enemies that are around that. So meaning that you're more reliant on your corpse tendrils rather than a lucky hit chance. I've ran both. I'm kind of like leaning more towards the restore for that, because you're always going to have corpses on the ground and you're always going to be using corpse tendrils, so you're going to be always getting resources back. However, with this one, it doesn't necessarily drop your resources as fast. If you have big groups, your chances to, you have up to 10% chance to generate 38. Well, it's up to 38 to 50. I'd like to get the 51 essence of hitting a vulnerable enemy. So meaning that when your spear passes through it, you have a 10% chance that it's going to generate 38 or between 30 and 50 essence when hitting a vulnerable enemy. It's a lucky hit. It's completely up to you. The playstyle's there. This one here is a guaranteed restore or resource restore. This is kind of a chance, and I've ran out of essence during a boss fight with this one, and you'll still run out of essence on a boss fight with this. So the idea behind the boss fight is to kill the boss before he has any chance to do any damage to you. That doesn't always work out. Okay, so with that being said, let's go back here. For the Book of the Dead, you're going to sacrifice your skirmishers. So on your skeletal warriors, on your skeletal mages, you're going to go shadow, and you're going to sacrifice those. And golems, you're going to go iron and sacrifice that. That will allow where's the skill? There's a skill in here that for every maybe it's not on this tree. Okay, yes. It says sacrificing both skeletal warriors and skeletal mages increases the sacrifice bonuses by 60%. That's in your momentum warring. Now you're sacrificing the golem for extra crit chance, so it's really a pretty big thing. So now we're going to go back to here. For my Paragon, this is where I've gotten so far. Started with here, kind of made my path up to Prime on the rare node. And then I have Glyph Socket Sacrificial. And basically, as you can see, it grants 114% bonus to all magic nodes within range. And it gives you all those bonuses, plus you deal an extra 10% increased damage while you have no active minions. So that's a big deal. And then you'll want to come up to Preservation rare node and get that. And you're going to want to get the Knowledge rare node as well. And then you're going to want to come up here and get the Entomb rare node, along with the nice little bonuses for Bone Spear or Bone Skills. And then you're going to want to come over and get Bone Graft. This is a bone graft board. And then you'll come up here and you'll go to reinvigorate. It'll allow you to get 2 essence on kill, maximum of 16 maximum essence, meaning you're going to get 16 more essence added to your pool. You'll get all these little essence builders. I'm surprised that this, I'm surprised I didn't choose this. This isn't a bad one here. It's an extra essence per kill. But then you'll come up here and get calcified, increases your critical strike with bone, and then you also get more critical strikes with bone, and 5% to give bone skill damage. And you get another one here and there, and then you'll come up here and get erudite, and then which will add to your resistances, and you'll get another shaper of bone, and it'll add more bone skill damage. And you get the bonuses. It's bonus to skill at 20% more, and then you get your glyph socket, Gravekeeper, and then so it grants 100% bonus to all red nodes within range. But also, if you meet the requirements, you'll deal 2% extra increased damage up to 12% for every close corpse. So meaning if you've got a bunch of corpses on the ground, you're going to gain that more damage there. Then you're going to make your way over to here. This is which board is this? Oh, this is Sent to Death board. And you come up here first off, and you go to Preservation. Make your way over to the glyph socket, and you'll have Imbiber, and then you'll come over here to the Death Marked. And then I kind of made my way down here to the Sent to Death, and then went to Ruin, and then came over to Deathbringer. I'm currently making my way up to this rare node over here, which is Powerhouse. Deal more damage when you're healthy. It's kind of hard to stay that when you're pushing up, like I was pushing up in one of my previous videos to 55. It's really, I'm 84. I shouldn't technically be doing that, but at the same time, it's only going to get better from there. If I learn to take the damage, it'll just get better. But I'm making my way up to this node, and then I'll make my way up to the glyph socket, which I will have, which one is that? Essence. I will put essence in that, and then I will drop down to here and get more damage while fortified. So meaning that when you get your overshield and you're fortified, whenever you get your shield for engaging an elite and doing damage to an elite, you'll do more damage while you're fortified. So meaning that you just continue doing extra damage. And then I'm not going to make my way up to Bloodbath, but there's also another, I will end up making my way down here. And I haven't yet decided which board I want to put there, but I'm kind of going with thinking of going with Exploit or Flesh Eater, and I do believe in putting the Exploit node into that. You also, I'm thinking that maybe I'll come down in the flesh and get the Flesh Eater. So basically, consuming 5 corpses increases your damage for 5 seconds. I haven't quite got that far yet, but I'm working on that build, and I think that it'll be a great one if you'll follow me in my little adventure, and as I'm leveling, we'll do so. I know seasons are coming up pretty soon, and I'll probably be doing a mage, I've already got a Necromancer. There's no point in me rebuilding another Necromancer. So I want to do a different character. So I'm hoping that you'll also follow me in that build guide whenever I create one, and it'll be a good one, I'm pretty sure. So just keep following and like and subscribe, please. And it helps out. Every little bit helps. So it was good, doing this. You guys have a good day and enjoy the build.